Hi everybody, it's Marty Millner with Coldwell Banker Hearthside Realtors in Newtown, Pennsylvania in beautiful Bucks County. Thanks for watching another edition of my video blog. I appreciate your tuning in. Today I want to talk about a topic you may or may not be familiar with, and that is home appraisals. And the question that I posed is an appraised value the same as the fair market value? So the answer to that is not necessarily, and I'll explain a couple of reasons for that as we go through this sometimes confusing topic. First, when is an appraisal done? Well, especially talking about the home buying and selling transaction, most transactions today generally will have an appraisal contingency, and for any buyer of a property that is getting a mortgage, the mortgage company is going to insist on getting an appraisal done. So the appraisal is a formal process by which the appraiser is going to go out and go through the property, going to compare the property that is being appraised with what they call comparables, and the comparables are, and the appraiser will only use homes that have sold recently. They don't like to go back further than 6 months if at all possible. And essentially they're going to compare all the features, size, lot size, bedrooms, bathrooms, etc., with the house that's being appraised to the comparables. And they normally will use 3 comparables. The challenge from an appraisal standpoint is that a lot of the things that buyers are willing to impart value to, things for instance like finished basements, may or may not transfer well in terms of the appraised value. And what I mean by that, just as a simple example, is that suppose you look at a house that has a really over-the-top finished lower level. There's a bathroom in the finished basement, ceilings drywalled, recessed lights. I mean, you could spend $75,000 to $100,000 to finish a basement like that. Buyers will allow significant value in general when comparing one house to another for a finished basement like that. And yet from an appraised standpoint perspective, in general, the most that one house is going to get as a credit adjustment, if you will, for the finished basement may be, $12,000 to $15,000. So it doesn't really translate very well in terms of the value that a buyer is willing to add to a property that they're looking at, as opposed to how that's going to be referenced in an appraisal. So there's often inconsistencies in terms of what buyers are willing to pay and what a house is going to appraise for. From a bank standpoint, even for a buyer putting down 20%, the bank is going to loan that buyer, that prospective buyer, 80% of the appraised value or the sale price, whichever is lower. So if you have a house that sells for for $500,000 and it only appraises for $480,000, the prospective buyer wouldn't qualify based on the terms of the contract because it didn't appraise for the sale price, and that creates all kinds of potential challenges in how to deal with that. So I have an appraiser that I work with all the time when I help clients file tax appeals and that sort of thing, and he tells people all the time that the appraised value is not the fair market value. The fair market value is essentially what buyers and sellers agree on as a price in an arm's length transaction. And again, based on the methodology that's used by appraisers, where they're only looking at historic data, it doesn't necessarily mean that the appraised value is the fair market value, and there's a lot of confusion about that all the time. So basically, although a house definitely has to appraise for the sale price in general, I mean there's some exceptions to that. A buyer can choose to put in extra cash. The seller can agree to lower the price to match the appraised value, but it does need to appraise in general for the sale price. When that doesn't happen, it creates all kinds of challenges in trying to make a transaction work. From a timing standpoint, when you think about again how the appraisal process works, you have to realize that even a house that may be appropriate to be used as a comp in an appraisal could have sold 5 months ago, and if the house that's settled 5 months ago was on the market for say 3 months, then the data in the market that that house that they're using as far as a comparable could already be 8 months old. And again, when buyers psychologically are looking at houses, they can't buy what's already sold. They can only look at and compare one property to the next based on what's available to look at. So I know there's a lot of confusion about appraisals. It does, I've had my share of transactions where we've had to manage, difficult situations with houses that don't appraise. So I've been through it, numerous times. But in general, to answer my original question, the appraised value is not the fair market value. So if you have any questions about that, need to find out what your house is worth, or looking to buy anything in Bucks County, be happy to speak with you. My number is 215-519-1399. Happy to answer any questions you have. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.